This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, I feel like you can see it's just like recording.
Yes. So, all right, I can get started then. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first installment of Higher Awards Speaker Series. Before chatting with our amazing speaker today, we wanted to introduce you all to Higher Awards, the inspiration for our speaker series idea, and the people participating in this first installment. Higher Rewards is a startup based in California that gives community-focused organizations the ability to provide members with a credit card branded with the organization's logo. Essentially, each time members use the card, they support the organization financially as a portion of their transactions goes back to the organization directly. In an effort to learn more about our target customer base, Higher Rewards will host a speaker series throughout the summer, where we host several different leaders of nonprofits, religious organizations, and other small businesses. Now, for more formal introductions, my name is Mihir Nair, and I'm a student at UC Berkeley studying statistics and economics. I have a passion for helping expand small businesses who try to foster greater social good in society. Shri, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Srijoni Sengupta, and I'm also an intern for Higher Awards this summer. And I'm studying economics and global studies at UC Berkeley. And I also have a passion for social impact and nonprofits.
Anthony, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. I'm Anthony Price. I am the founder and executive director of Be the Change Venture, which is a nonprofit preparing young people for the professional workforce. Sorry about that. And I worked in both the public and private sector with experience in both program management and business development and civic engagement. But overall, I'm working to alleviate the disparities that prevent young people from being successful in the professional workforce.
Great. So with that, we are just going to jump right into it. So basically how this is going to be structured is that Shri and I will be asking a series of questions tailored to trying to identify more about Be the Change Venture and in particular its growth and marketing strategies. So our first question for Anthony is that basically Higher Rewards is all about financial empowerment for those who already dedicate themselves to others. So to this end, how have you dedicated yourself to others with the creation of your nonprofit and Be the Change Venture?
Yeah, of course. So I think what's important is to understand about Be the Change Venture is that it's not only about service, but it's about, most importantly, people. And I'm sure that's something that you guys understand at Higher Rewards. And so since 2014, my team and I remain committed to serving the greatest needs of young people ages 14 to 18 who come from marginalized areas. And so our top priority is ensuring that they are prepared for the future of work. And I think that's something that all companies have to start thinking about as we start to move more to the digital age right now, especially during a global pandemic, is like, how can we make sure that our staff is trained and is prepared to work in the future, especially like being on Zoom or Instagram Live as we're doing it at the same time. And so one thing that I kind of remind people, and I have to remind my donors who are worried about, well, how are you going to do your work now in a global pandemic? We've been facing a youth development crisis since COVID. And so that's one thing that we've been committed and thinking about innovatively is how can we meet young people where they're at, even if they're not in school? And so we've been definitely shifting our efforts to making sure that we address their needs even online. And that's part of how our model works. It's not only in the classroom, but also online coaching and creating a central space where young people can develop the skills to be successful in the professional workforce, whether that's in person or online. But in the communities that we work with right now, we're working in addressing and working with 40,000 youth in Ohio and Nebraska to make sure that they're prepared for the workforce.
Great. So for our next question, Shri is going to ask.
Thanks, Mihir. Yeah, so with that, Higher Rewards is currently a small company that is seeking to expand our outreach to as many religious and nonprofit companies as possible. And as someone who has also gone through a similar process of growing the outreach of a smaller organization, what would you say were the upsides and obstacles that you faced during your journey?
Yeah. Well, two things I would say: gaining credibility and sustainable funding. Those are two big issues that I'm sure, and I see a couple of smirks over there because you probably understand what I mean by that. It's very hard when starting a foundation or any venture organization. And so this is where I think the power of narrative is extremely useful. It has been extremely useful for us. Stories, especially starting off to convince, a team to be involved, even though, it's all about service work. We don't pay our team members as much as we would like to, but how do you commit a team first to come and work with you, which is very important. And so stories are very effective, in which I've shared my story to gain support, and my members of my team have also have shared their stories. And so I think whether that involves recruiting new team members or partners and donors, don't be afraid to share your story. Whether you have a personal connection to the issue that you're trying to solve, or if someone else is facing that problem, if you really understand the problem that a certain group of people are facing, and you are able to clearly identify it well and connect in some sort of way of what motivated you to get involved, and you tested things out, you're able to really build a meaningful movement of people that are going to be there to support you.
Thank you so much for that. And now Mihir will jump into our third question for the day.
Thanks, Shri. So essentially, Higher Rewards, what we're aiming to do is, with our impact, we want to really impact local communities across America. And I know that Be the Change Venture, in its growth strategy, like you mentioned before, to Ohio, Nebraska, and potentially other states such as California, is trying to expand nationally, but also cares about that local impact. So my question is, how has your nonprofit expanded its work nationally to a great degree of success while still having that local impact at the same time?
Yeah. Well, I think it starts with the mission, and so we've remained committed to a mission that we believe everyone has an invested stock. I kind of see it as you're an investor. You have whether that's donating money or time or effort, you have a stock that we believe is central to our work and being able to grow and expand our impact and our metrics. And so I think being rooted also in grassroots organizing, so allowing the people, whether that's those that are effective or those that want to get involved or both, to also take the lead and be a very important stakeholder in your work. Speak first and lead first, and while also giving them the resources is really effective. And so that's what we've done, allowing people who are especially affected by the problem, who want to make a difference in their community, who want to make an impact for not only themselves but their greater community, is important that everyone, I think, can agree, because they want that for themselves and for others that they're surrounded by. And so I think that's essential for anyone who wants to create a successful venture or organization or want to continue to have a sustainable base. And so I think what's really important to expand, you have to have a clear and identifiable problem. And as we see, like big ventures now, they have a clear identifiable problem that people can connect to and understand, because they also experience it. And so one of the things that we've done, we've studied the problem by listening to young people. We've also tested out along with them, and we've gotten some proven and successful metrics or data. And so I think that's something that's really essential for anyone who wants to start one, to have data, because folks that you want to try to convince to join your movement are going to want to hear some statistics of how many people are affected. What have you done to improve the problem that they face, and what do you seek to do in the next 2 years or 5 years or 10 years from now? And that's going to be really essential to bringing more people along and increasing the awareness of your brand nationally. And so fortunately, we've we've been able to do that. Our goal was never to become national, especially when I started in 2014. But fortunately, our impact has expanded to Ghana and having clear invested interests in helping students there have access to scholarship resources for higher education. And here across the United States, we worked with folks in California. We've also worked in Chicago and Cleveland, Ohio, and Lincoln, Nebraska, and Seattle, Washington. And so fortunately, we're going to continue to remain committed to our mission to make sure that young people have the resources to be successful for future work.
That's amazing. So Shri will ask the next question.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. That was so insightful, Anthony, as well. So moving on, for small companies such as Higher Rewards and Be the Change Venture, having devoted supporters of your goods and services enables better customer retention rates as well as like greater profits. How were you able to develop and sustain such customer loyalty?
Yeah, I think staying engaged, always being cognizant of their needs is essential. So engagement is very important, and I don't think I'm going to stress them enough. It's because your customers or the people that you're seeking to serve are always going to need something, and they're always going to experience some sort of problem. And so this is where I kind of keep in the mindset for when I'm leading a national team, is like always thinking about the worst situation that could possibly happen. And so when you plan to have multiple plans in place, you're able to effectively lead. You're able to lead more effectively. You're also going to be better prepared to handle different situations, so being adaptable. And so I think it's always important for any venture organization to realize is like there's always someone else or another entity that is doing something similar to you. So how, instead of reinventing the wheel, how can you be more effective and more innovative? And that's something that we always have to be aware of throughout our lives. And so I'm sure as we're being, venture leaders and nonprofit leaders are being tested right now, in which we have to, unfortunately stay in our homes or practice social distancing right now. It's like, how can we be innovative during this time? Like when we're able to return to some normalcy and be able to have a face-to-face conversation, how can we continue our work, but also have a little more innovation with it? So for us to stay enabled with and engage with customers, is definitely checking on them, understanding what are their greatest needs, gaining feedback, having them a part of the conversations surrounding the conversations or the discussions that you're trying to create more innovative tools or products or services is definitely key. And that's something that we do. And being a team of young millennials and recent college grads is extremely important to have young people at the table. And that's one thing that I advocate too when I pitch my organization for funding. Is like, you need young people at the table because at some point they're going to be in those shoes. And so we want to make sure that young people prepared so that they can speak and connect effectively. And so that helps us stay engaged with young people because we're working directly with them.
Thank you so much for that. I think that's something that we're definitely going to keep in mind as we go forth. And Mihir will be going forward with the fifth question for the day.
Yeah, so this is our last question. So if possible, if you can give, an elaborate response or your most elaborate response to this question, because we believe it's, really central to what both your organization and our organization are trying to strive for. So with that, the question is basically that Higher Rewards is all about offering people the chance to financially support the organizations of their choice through self-branded credit cards. To this end, do you believe that your organization or other nonprofits similar to yours would benefit from the services that Higher Rewards offers? Why or why not?
Yeah, well, I think short answer, yes. And I think just learning about the story of Mr. Wright, who's your founder, is really impressive and has I think I'm getting feedback from my phone, but has my ultimate respect for starting a company at, 19 is really impressive. That's for someone who's also created a company at 21, or it's definitely key. And so I would say um, organizations need more innovative models. And so fortunately, I think the model that's focused on having a no charge for service, and definitely making sure that revenue is gained at the same time is really important. So I would definitely say the service is really important.
Great. Just to, piggyback off of that. So what do you think specifically about Higher Rewards with like its financial services? How do you see, kind of like touching on the last question about, customer loyalty? How do you see using this financial service as beneficial potentially, for young students of color that you're trying to help with Be the Change Venture? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I definitely think the digital payments is something that is becoming more incorporated into our lives. Like I remember when I was starting to think about getting my first card, or bank card or credit card. I was like, I got to write checks, and fortunately, I learned that in high school, financial literacy. Fortunately, but we're not using checks anymore, and that's something that I do as a nonprofit, is like write checks. But I think fortunately with your service, organizations can pay for services and fees and gain donors much more effectively and faster. And so I think the convenience, forward thinking, the security and privacy that your model is kind of functioned on would be essential for organizations like us. So I'm appreciative of the work that you guys do.
Thank you. And we are super appreciative of you, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk with us today. So right now, that was all the questions that Sri and I had prepared from our media team at Higher Rewards. We would love for our audience here on Zoom to engage with us, or on Instagram Live, where we're also at, to kind of engage with us with their questions about either Be the Change Venture or Higher Rewards and the work that we're trying to do here. So with that, are there any questions?
Hey, Anthony. I do have a quick question.
Sorry about that. Yes.
Yeah. So I want to ask how you came up with the idea to found the Be the Change Venture. Just more interested about. Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. So it was definitely something that I created when I was a junior in high school. And so one of the things that a small story, one thing that my mom made me do, and I have two younger brothers. So in our living room, every morning we would have to walk up to her and shake her hand and give her our small little pitch about who we are. And so I may seem like an eloquent speaker now, but I had stage fright as a kid, and I would stutter, and I couldn't give full eye contact to individuals. And so fortunately, that failure in shaking my mom's hand and just telling her, I'm Anthony Price, I want to be an attorney, and I want to work on alleviating our injustices in the criminal justice system. I couldn't do that perfectly, but fortunately, doing that every morning before I go to school helped me develop and cultivate relationships more effectively. And so I realized that was something that my peers could not do effectively. I graduated from an inner city school in Cleveland, Ohio. And as we know, there's a lot of disparities in that and lack of opportunity that students face in urban and rural areas. And so one of the things I wanted to do was to change that. And fortunately, I have a team of members who are committed, who understand the problems. And so fortunately, we've together collectively have served over 1,400 students in both Ohio and Nebraska. And so we're looking to create more opportunities for young people to make sure that they have the social resources to do that.
Thank you.
All right, so it looks like we have a question in the chat, so I'll just read it out loud. It's from Adith Arora. So he asks, what are your plans, this is for Higher Rewards, what are your plans to support religious organizations, and which religions in particular do you plan to support? So Jarrett, do you want to answer this question?
Sure thing. So we at Higher Rewards, we are our goal is to again empower those who are already dedicating themselves to others, and we find that community-facing organizations such as nonprofits, religions, they have the best they're best positioned to do this, just given their baked in um, their baked in infrastructure geared around community involvement. And so our plans to support these organizations is to provide them with an additional stream of revenue over and above what they already get towards their donations. Because currently, right now, times are hard. Times are always hard, but especially right now. But with Higher Rewards, not only are we able to extend credit and put purchasing power behind their organization, but as they're buying daily essentials, gas, groceries, et cetera, we're able to fill the coffers of those who are out there doing the finest work amongst our communities. And which religions in particular, there is not a checklist. We are not saying we are going to support these guys and not these guys. We are here to support everyone who is empowering the community. And so wherever there are those standing together for a purpose, we are right there behind them, driving their payments with purpose.
Great. Adit says thank you for that response. So moving on, Jacob, you have your hand raised. So do you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask Anthony if maybe he had a story of impact, something that he had gained through his program that was memorable, a moment, or someone that he had been able to help that he'd like to share.
Yeah, of course. And thank you for the question. We have plenty of students that I can share about. One thing that a student I found unique to my life is my brother. Fortunately, I have two younger brothers, but the youngest is coming sophomore at junior, I'm sorry, at Shaw High School. And so one of the things that I've learned about him being my brother is that he's very shy, and so he doesn't open up to people easily. And so I think seeing his brother, as you know, as much as they hear about me all the time, they're like, yeah, enough of that guy. I'm gonna create my own path. But one thing that they most enjoy is like seeing someone that they know and have a similar background and trajectory and dreams and goals of just like them. I think is really inspiring. And so that's fortunately Eric seeks to become a neurosurgeon, even though his career path changes different times. At some point he's like, I want to be a football player. Then I want to do neurosurgeon. I was like, well, you can do both. You can do football at some sort of your career, whether that's in college or whether that's maybe going to the NFL one day, I'm not sure, but you always want to make sure you have a backup plan. And so fortunately, Eric has, he's currently working in the fast food chain to gain some customer service skills and tactical skills. And so fortunately, he's building relationships now and learning like a different side of the business of how to manage a franchise and managerial skills that are going to be effective when he is starting to think about getting lab experience or thinking about going to med school and how he's going to have to build those relationships effectively.
Great. Thank you for that really insightful response, Anthony. So right now we have Amar Ansari raising his hand for the next question.
Yeah, Anthony, I'm like really interested to hear about how like Be the Change made an impact on the college community at Wesleyan University. If you could like expand upon that.
Of course, that's a good question. One thing I would say is that given that I just recently graduated from Wesleyan, so a fresh graduate out of college, it was a little interesting during this time. But one of the things that I did was definitely, and Mihir can allude to this, was host. As a social entrepreneur, pitching is very important. I think in my in my nonprofit career, but also just being an entrepreneur, you always have to make sure that you're on the spot on different ideas. And so I would say one thing that we did was host a pitch competition where we wanted to invite different youth from the community to learn how to pitch. If they had a compelling idea, how can they say that effectively, in a minute or less? And then, but also provide them financial, support. That's one thing I think we overlook too when we have young entrepreneurs or young people who want to start ideas, that they don't have the financial means to actually bring it to life. And so fortunately, with our partnership with Wesleyan University, we've received financial support to support young people's ideas, specifically social entrepreneurship. And so for those that don't know what social entrepreneurship is, it's addressing a social problem that a particular group is facing. That's how I see it. And it's open to different interpretations. But with Mihir, he was fortunately our first pitch grant recipient for addressing hunger in his community school community back in Connecticut. And so fortunately, he hosted a hunger banquet. And that was meaningful for us because even though that's not our area of expertise, let's support a young person who can do that. And so I think that forever changed, my life. But when I was talking to our advisory board, here's what we did as a result of our partnership with the university. And so I think that's where, strategic partnerships come into play and are very effective, where you're working together to support young people's dreams, but also giving them a central space is going to be essential for not only, your dollars, but also for their lives. And so, as you can see, Mihir has, is leading us right now and is facilitating this conversation. I think that speaks a lot to, just the example of what a partnership can do, and it can impact a lot of lives.
Yeah, and I just want to add on, I want to thank Anthony because he was a great mentor to me back when I was in high school before I went to UC Berkeley. He provided, financial resources to me and other people of color to pursue their dreams and pursue their passions. And I think that's something that is very important in this day and age. And I can speak on another project that he helped us support, which was with Young Achievers Foundation Ghana. I think he alluded to this a little bit earlier, but he has been able to have an international impact in northern Ghana, where literacy rates are very much, down. So he's been able to help support children in northern Ghana and help them access vital scholarship opportunities to attend university in the United States. And he was able to help a man named Ferdinand Quayson, who attended Wesleyan as well. And Ferdinand's work is essentially, offering children in northern Ghana the resources that they need to study standardized tests like the SAT and ACT that they have to take to gain college admission into top selected universities in America. He helped, progress their missions in helping children in northern Ghana write better essays, and he's done lots of great work as well internationally. So I think it's just a great example of a small nonprofit and the far-reaching impact that they can really have. It extends beyond, where they started at their local college community, and it becomes global. So yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to Anthony for that as well. And Jarrett, I believe you have a question.
Yeah, I did. Thank you so much, Mihir. So Anthony, thank you so much for sharing space with us today. We really appreciate you, especially on Monday. We know it's a holiday for coming out and supporting us as we look to empower each other. I had a question. I wanted to know, the journey of an entrepreneur is always a hard one. It's a lot of things, but for sure it's hard. There's a lot of stumbles along the way. We're taught to fail fast. Lots of failures happen. And I'm wondering, where was the inflection point for you? as you're going along your journey, I'm sure you've had your bumps and bangs, but at what point did you cross over the hill and you say, you know what, this is going to be a thing? When was that?
Yeah, I think definitely, you know, and Mr. Wright, you can allude to this, starting something at a young age where, people may not, they say, yeah, that's great, but they don't fully support the idea, or, feel like you need to learn a little bit, which is totally correct. But I think not being fully invested in the work, that was an inflection for me. And I think it was mostly about kind of the young people that I wanted to make a difference in. When I think about myself too, is in which being raised by a single mom and living in an inner city community. Yes, you face certain obstacles and challenges, but of course it doesn't define who you are. And so I knew that I wanted to lead my own business before I turned 21, and fortunately I did that. So I think staying committed to what you want to do and making sure that you have some supporters in your corner. And so fortunately I had my family, then I had some friends who wanted to start some things with me. And so fortunately, I've had people come and go in my life in terms of being on the team, and that's fine, but it helps you grow as a person. And so I think for the failures that I've experienced, starting a project or, pitching multiple times or saying the wrong stuff, but always remaining committed to the mission has definitely helped me, and staying on the narrow path and realizing that, at some point you'll see light at the end of the tunnel. And fortunately, I've seen that a couple of times, and I'm going to see a lot of darkness at some points where there's going to be a lot of failures. But I think having the mindset of saying I'm ready to experience the failure and see where it's going to take me and what I'm going to learn from it has been very important for me to grow.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I couldn't agree more in that constantly going forward, regardless of what, is just critical. Super quickly, that was Jake was incredibly not just inspiring, but pivotal to Higher Rewards, because there was a point in time where I almost put it down. It's like, oh my God, this is just too much. I'm not going to be able to do this. It's too heavy of a lift. It's outside of my industry. And Jake told me, he was like, you owe it to the world to push this through. You have to make this happen. And, sometimes you get to a place, I'll say myself, I get to a place where, I'm not really sure and I doubt myself, but then there's someone that I have complete respect for, and belief in, even if and when I don't believe in myself, I believe in this person, and because that person believes in me, and for some reason they think that I can do it, give it a shot. But it's so important for us to constantly be together, and to push each other forward, and to collaborate. And that's why I'm so proud of Shri and Mihir for reaching out and putting things like this together, because that's how we make it happen. With the team, I use chess analogies all the time. No one piece can do it by themselves. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, just to touch on that, I couldn't agree more. We're here for good causes. We're here to foster greater social good in local communities. We're also here to, expand our mission and run a business. So, I think juggling both of those, it's not an easy process, and there will be failures along the way. But I've always believed that in order to be successful in business and in life, you need to fail, because then you don't have a measure of how to understand what success really looks like. So yeah, I totally agree. And Shri, do you want to add anything to our conversation here?
Yeah, so we just have a question on Instagram Live. So I'm just going to throw that out there. And the question is, what have you done to market higher awards, and how much research has gone into higher awards?
Oh my goodness. How much research has gone into higher rewards? At this point, almost 3 years of solid research, hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of face-to-face in-person interviews, minimum an hour each, thousands upon thousands of pages of academic research poured over by Jake and myself and those who have joined the team. It is not a quick fancy, oh, hey, we have a slick little idea. Let's kind of go for it and see what it's like. Those on my team know that I am methodical about everything we do. I am not haphazard at all. Everything is very well thought out. So yeah, that's how long we've been on it. Now, as far as marketing, there are several different. There isn't a single approach to how we market this. Um, a lot of that, unfortunately, stays in the kitchen and can't be broadcasted out live outside the internal team. But know that it is it's very thoughtful, because what we're doing here, we're blending two organizations or two industries that normally have an antithetical stance towards each other. It's financial instruments and religion. And it's a very touchy subject. It's a very it's a fine line with how you go about marrying those two things in a way that's ultimately respectful of the organizations that we collaborate with, and speaks to our overall mission of empowering those who are out there on the front lines, keeping us safe, keeping us inspired, and keeping us moving forward in our own individual efforts. So with uh, with that, I hate to sidestep questions, but there's a lot that goes behind the scenes to make sure that we market globally, to globally across the nation, but also respectfully.
Yeah, that's a great response. I mean, I can just like Jarrett said, I can't reveal any internal details about our marketing strategies, but I can say that she and I have both been a part of, the marketing and media efforts, as we are both summer interns for Higher Awards. So with that, we are definitely, targeting different nonprofits and religious organizations. Those are kind of our target bases, because that is, inherently in our mission as a startup. So we're really targeting those types of organizations. And we're not limiting the scope to just local nonprofits. We're looking at national nonprofits as well, who have a wide, a large scale effect and impact on their audiences. So we're definitely trying to figure that out. And we've made a lot of progress. And as Jarrett said, there's been lots of insightful research and hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of hours into building Higher Awards into what it is now, and hopefully what it will become in the future, which is a successful startup that does support the members of religious and nonprofit organizations. So with that, do we have any further questions, comments, inquiries, anything at all? Jarrett, I see you're raising your hand. Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. That's me not lowering my hand like a good student should. But yeah, no, I again just wanted to thank you and Shri for putting this together, and for being incredibly valuable members of our team. I couldn't be more proud of the amount of work, the drive, and the passion that you have, and you add something tangible and something special to us. And I'm just going ahead and speak for Jake and say we appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you, Shri. Thank you so much for all you do for us.
Yeah, of course. I'm personally so honored to be part of the team. for Higher Awards this summer. Shri, do you have anything to say? I know she's busy like helping with our Instagram live, by the way.
Yes, no, same. I was like the same feelings overall. Thank you so much for like having us be a part of the team. And it's just been a very like valuable, it's been a week, but it's been a very valuable journey so far. And Anthony, thank you so much for like your candid conversations, and everything's so inspirational. I feel like I'm learning so much in this such a short amount of time. And we're almost the same age, but I feel like you've done so much more with your life, and there's so much more like meaning to it. So it was like really inspirational to like hear about like your journey, and I'm so excited to see what you do like in the future as well. So I think everything that we've spoken about today is definitely gonna make a difference in my life for sure going forward.
Yeah, of course, and I would definitely say, definitely you're definitely doing great work and making big moves as well. And so I would say it requires all of us to make a difference. And so thank you so much for having me and allowing me to share my story and also about Be the Change Venture. And so for anyone who wants to learn more about us, feel free to follow us on Instagram at Be the Change Venture or BeTheChangeVenture.com. We love to engage with anyone.
Yes. So if you wish to learn more about Be the Change Venture, as Anthony just mentioned, visit BeTheChangeVenture.com. They are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So follow them, like their commentary, and yeah, see what great work they do in the future. If you wish to learn more about Higher Rewards, please visit higherrewards.com to sign up for early access to our financial services. We are currently developing a list of potential clientele in the future on our website, so feel free to sign up there. If you have any further questions about Higher Rewards, feel free to email us at info@higherrewards.com. We will hope you also like our social media pages at Higher Rewards on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Last but not least, Shri and I definitely want to extend a huge thank you to Anthony for taking the time out of his day. I know I mentioned this at the beginning, but I wanted to mention it again. Thank you so much for coming on the Zoom call. I know circumstances are difficult and we're in unprecedented times, but you are doing great work, sir, and we hope that we can continue to support it in the future. With that, we hope you all have a nice rest of your day. It is Memorial Day, so if you can go outside, enjoy the sunshine. Be sure to look out for our next speakers, as this is an ongoing speaker series, so we'll have multiple installments of different types of speakers, including of different organizations such as religious organizations throughout the summer. And yeah, have a nice day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.